very exciting video today.
Yeah.
Woo! Boston vlog, and it's a day in the life of a Bostonian.
Yeah,
I guess you could say that.
And a large overview of Boston itself. When I have a discussion about a city, that means a lot to us, right? It's a vivid city, it's a lively city, there's lots to do in Boston. I feel like it's not a major city, but it's a tiny city, but it's full of life.
I don't know if we're just biased, but Boston is very near and dear to our hearts just because mostly we grew up here. You know, we spent as kids a lot of time in the city. My mom worked close to the city, and I think his mom worked in the city.
Yeah.
You know, so we spent a lot of time there when we were younger. Even living on the outskirts of Boston, we could still appreciate the beauty of it.
And that's the thing, when you're in the outskirts of Boston, it's still easy to get into Boston. It's a very affordable. So we wanted to do a tourist day vlog, right? Which is kind of a vlog, kind of a mixture of both, right? So we
started off at Assembly Row in Somerville.
to State. Where are we now? Assembly Row. State, and then from State we'll get to
The Aquarium. Stop.
give us some of the map. Give us some hand.
So we are here. We're gonna go down to State. And then it's one stop. To Aquarium.
Yeah.
Right here. Stop off the Orange Line to State Street.
Yeah, let's talk about commuting in Boston, right? Is it affordable? Would you say it's affordable?
I would say it is. It's about $5 round trip. So going into the train is $2.50, and then, you know, from going back into the train from wherever you stopped is another $2.50.
And parking at MBTA designated parking areas are affordable too. It's like $6 a car, right?
Yeah, it depends on where you park. Some places are a little bit more expensive than others.
Yeah, you learn to find the tricks, right? But it is in the realm of affordability. Train is very good where you want to go. It's easy to decipher through, right? If you know it. If you're like not new to Boston, I feel like the New York system's kind of better, right? Because the numbers, right? And numbers are they're universal languances, right? But Boston, it's tricky at first, but once you get to know it, you'll get to know it, right? It's not as easy as New York, where it's like 34th Street and then 38th Street, so on and so on.
Right, with Boston, it's more so like Assembly Row, Sullivan Square, Community College,
Arlington,
right,
like
it's
downtown
more so
Crossing,
cities and names and stuff like that.
I wish they had the number system like New York does, though. It'd
but
definitely be a lot easier.
Right, but I'd say that it's still pretty easy because it just kind of goes in a straight line.
Yeah, but we started off Assembly Row, and then what did we do after that? We jumped on the train at Assembly Row. For those who don't know, Assembly Row is in Somerville, right? It's a town. It's a city outside of Boston. It's 10 minutes away driving from Somerville to Boston, but traffic is usually crazy, so it's usually
no parking in Boston.
Yeah,
so it's so much easier to take the train.
Yeah, well, there is parking in Boston. It's just expensive, right?
Yeah, but sometimes you can never find parking in Boston too.
Yeah.
So, especially on a Saturday, which when we went, you would not have been able to find parking anywhere.
Absolutely not. But if you do decide to take Boston, drive in Boston, I want to say it's like $60 to $40.
It's expensive. Well, let's go with that.
Yeah.
So once we got on the Assembly Row stop, we took it to the State Street stop.
There is only one thing on my mind. crave before you turn around and walk away. Hey, 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 I just wanna say you are my new crave. I can do my, I can do my, I can do my own thing. I can do my, I can do my, I can do my, I can do my own.
Which connects to the blue line and the orange line. And then we got on the blue line and it was one stop to Aquarium.
I can do my, I can do my own thing. I can do my, I can do my, I can do my, I can do my own thing. I can do my, I can do my, I can do my, I can do my own thing. I can do my, I can do my, I can do my, losing track of time, losing track of myself. I can make promises to get into your head. Hey, 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 I just wanna say you are my new crave. Hey, 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 I just wanna say you are my new crave before you turn around and walk away. Hey, hey, hey.
And Aquarium is where we took the duck boat. And that's where the duck boat departs from. Also the whale watch. And a bunch of other activities that
right?
you can do
I
out of
just wanna say you are my, I just wanna say you are my, I can do my, I can do my, I can do my own thing. I can do my, I can do my, I can do my, I can do my own thing. I can do my, I can do my, I can do my, I can do my own thing. I can do my, I can do my, I can do my.
So we're here.
So we're here at Aquarium, and then so it's gonna go around this way, I think, and then it'll go down here, and then down
Is this actually going through all the popular
all the way
neighborhoods,
around. Yep.
right? Most of the popular neighborhoods.
And then it goes onto the Charles River, turns around, comes back.
Yeah, something to look forward to, right? In row 2. Can you hold this? I was gonna put it in my pocket.
$100 for both of us.
It was about $110 for the two of us.
For the two of us, excuse me.
So it was about $45 each, and there was like tax, like a convenience fee.
We've lived in Boston all our lives, but we
Never,
never
ever took the
experienced
duck
it.
boat.
Yeah, we've always considered it like a tourist trap. But it was definitely.
Which with the price we figured out it was.
Yeah, but I still enjoyed it. It was still a fun
Yeah,
experience.
no, it was very. There was stuff that like I didn't know that like I know now. And we saw parts of Boston that we actually have never seen before.
Yeah, so it was definitely, even from a Bostonian like point of view, it was definitely a unique experience for us. We saw parts of Boston we've never seen before. We learned something about the Charles River, right, with the Viking boats.
Yep.
Right, it's like no one did their research, and thus we have a bridge dedicated to Vikings or something like that. I don't recall it, but it was definitely an interesting fact to learn.
But it was a lot of fun, you know, because we start off at Aquarium and it's about an 80-minute ride, completely round trip, and it drives through all the different parts of Boston, all the historical sites, and then it drives along goes right into the Charles River, and then goes right around, and then comes right back and goes back to Aquarium.
But it goes through the popular neighborhoods, like the North End, West End, downtown Boston, and you learn a lot about the city. And the thing you know about Boston, especially, I feel like around this time of year is the best time to visit Boston too, because we have the fall foliage, right?
Yep, and the fall foliage is so beautiful in Boston. There are so many places to see all the beautiful fall leaves and the different colors, especially the Boston Public Garden.
Yeah. So overall, would you recommend the Boston Duck Tour?
I definitely would. I didn't think that it was like too exciting. I think because I've been around, I live here, that I was kind of like, okay, like this is cool. But for someone who's never been to Boston, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. So after we did the Duck Tour, we took a small walk to Faneuil Hall. The thing with Boston is you can walk from one end to the other end relatively fast, and I would definitely recommend it because you can absorb the sound, smell, and life of the city, right? It's like there's always something going on. I feel like right now Boston's at an interesting point in its cycle, right?
Mostly because of COVID. So everywhere we go, we kind of had to like wear a mask. Like on the duck boat, we had to wear a mask the whole time that we were on the duck boat.
But Boston, I feel like, is the center of revolution, right? It's like even when we went out, right, we have footage of it too. Hopefully you share that as well. There's lots of protests going on, right? We saw an ACLU protest, we saw a Black Lives Matter protest, and this was just on a Saturday alone. There was 2 protests. People are vocal about their, I guess, First Amendment rights, right? And they're at the center they want to be in the center of transformation, and they want to push legislation that could make a change and affect everyone's life. And I feel like Boston is one of the major places to be for change.
It definitely is. But after we went to Faneuil Hall, we were kind of looking for a small bite for lunch. Inside of Faneuil Hall, it is so amazing because there's literally so many different food choices in one spot. There's Indian
affordable food choices, right?
Yep. There's Indian food, there's Italian food, there's seafood, there's Chinese food,
Bakeries.
there's Japanese food, there's bakeries. Literally so much inside one little space.
Yeah, definitely visit it if you're in Boston. So we stopped at a place called Mac and Cheese.
It was so
I think
good.
that was the name, right? It was literally called Mac and Cheese.
Yeah, like mac and cheese.
Yeah, and it's a super special place, right? All they do is mac and cheese. They just have variations of mac and cheese.
And this place is definitely new because we had never seen it before. And I want to say that we go to Faneuil Hall maybe a couple times
because I'm guilty of it.
Every other month.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it. I do like the Indian place inside there.
Oh, yes,
like Indian cuisine or something. It's delicious.
But this mac and cheese place was so good, and we highly recommend it. It was super affordable. I think it was only $20 for like the 2 of us.
Yeah, I forgot to note too. It's like in between Faneuil Hall and the Aquarium, there's all the food trucks, right?
Yep. Sometimes there are food trucks lined up all along, and there are different kind of food trucks. There's Mexican. There was an udon food truck, Chinese food. Yep.
It varies. It's like food in Boston. It's. I feel like I get to have food better than outside of Boston. It's not my bias. I just feel like New York, the food scene might be a little bit exaggerated. I don't think it's as good as we have it here. But again, it's not a competition. It's just our opinions. But after we
we went to the North End. The North End is such an amazing part of Boston because it's literally all Italian food.
authentic. But the thing is, it's going to the authentic places, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for us, rather than going to the mainstream bakeries, we like the smaller ones, like Bova's, for example.
Yep.
It's open 24/7. It's a little bit on the pricey end, but it's well worth it. The cannolis there are by far the very best cannolis in Boston. And
Yep.
anyone who
I
tells
think
you
they're the best
otherwise,
cannolis in general,
Yeah,
not
and-
just in Boston.
yeah, and anyone who tells you otherwise is just, their opinion is just invalid. They're wrong.
Yep, don't listen to them.
But Bova's is definitely, it's like a homemade. I can't eat cannolis anywhere else other than Bova's.
Yeah, because they're literally amazing. They're made fresh every single day,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, when they run out, they make fresh ones. Like it's always. And I heard that their pizza there
It's
is
good,
too.
yeah. And their tiramisu is delicious
Yep.
as well. My mom's a major fan of their tiramisu. Cheesecakes, they're really good, authentic Italian bakery. And I think I
good.
mentioned it, but they're open 24/7, so you
Yep.
can literally roll in at any point of the day.
We
and
don't
it's-
suggest driving there though, because you will literally never find parking
Yeah.
in that part of Boston.
In North
Like,
End,
there's-
don't drive in the North End.
No,
The
not
streets
at
are
all.
super narrow, so if
There's
you ever
no
pick up truck,
parking.
don't forget about it.
Yep, there's no parking at all.
But the beauty is, again, I don't want to stress it out, but walking in Boston is such a beautiful thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And any time of the year, they do a good job with clearing snow. And again, you can walk from one neighborhood to the other in relatively 15-20 minutes, and it's a good time. It's a good opportunity to see the city. But the North End, it's a very nostalgic place. The scenes are beautiful. The architecture is beautiful. Would
Yep.
recommend it. Very rustic.
But after we went to Bova's, we took a walk through Boston and found ourselves in the Boston Public Garden. So we walked through Faneuil Hall, and then we went to the North End, and then we went to Boston Common. Boston Common is, literally just this giant open field, pretty much,
Yeah.
filled with trees, and there's frog ponds in the middle of it. It's an ice skating rink in the winter. There's a park there.
In the summer,
and
it's like a small children's pool, right?
Yep, there's-
like
yep.
sprinkles.
And there's always something going on there. There's always,
Yeah.
either a protest going on there, or there's an event going on. There's always something going on at the
Yeah,
Common.
again, I stressed it out earlier, but Boston, that area is kind of like the epicenter for all social justice and activities in Boston. That's never a dull moment. Definitely a walk through. It's an interesting time, and just sightsee, right, and hear
Yeah.
and absorb everything that's going on, because there is a lot to absorb.
But then we went to the Boston Public Garden. The Boston Public Garden is beautiful. There are so many different kinds of trees and flowers everywhere. There's water fountains. There's a little swan boat, like a little swan
Yes.
paddle boat
But
you
they
can take.
didn't
through.
have that during Corona
Nope.
for obvious reasons, but it is something. That's another thing we haven't done, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely should be on our to-do list. It looks super romantic. Again, I just feel like it's one of those tourist trappy things. But hey, sometimes you just want to be a tourist in your own city, and that's okay. And that's kind of what we did, right?
Yep.
And we enjoyed that moment.
So then after we went to the Boston Public Garden, we kind of did a little bit of shopping for ourselves. So there's like a Primark in Boston, and then there's like a
Downtown
Macy's.
Boston, right? And
So
again,
the
it was a
Macy's-
small walk from the garden to downtown, right?
Yep.
But overall, our thoughts on Boston, we'll wrap it up and then give our channel update. But overall, Boston's a very beautiful place.
Yep.
Definitely visit it. It's definitely in the realm of affordability. You have to choose the right places to eat, choose the right
Always-
places to go.
Always find like the kind of hole in the wall places. Like Bova's is such a hole in the wall place.
Yeah, like the other places that get are heavily marketing, like Mike's Pastry.
Mike's don't
What's
go to Mike's.
What's the other one? It's like green siding. I know the name's on my hands, like Maria's Pastry or something.
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name.
But
of it, though.
they're like marketing geniuses. They're always pushing their cannolis out. But I feel like the sheer amount of volume they make for cannolis just ruins the quality. But Boston's a very beautiful city. Visit some of the mainstream places like Faneuil Hall,
Quincy Market.
Downtown Crossing, even
The
our
Boston Public
Chinatown.
Garden. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Chinatown's good too.
Yeah, because again, I'm not comparing it to New York, but New York's a pebble stone away from us, so we frequently visit New York quite often. But I feel like the Chinatown in New York is just too much going on there, and
Yeah.
Boston's not as crowded, right? You can walk and have your own space on the sidewalk.
Yep, the Chinatown in Boston is definitely smaller than the one in New York, obviously. But it's not as crowded.
Yeah,
Like,
and
you
you-
can and the places, there are some restaurants in Chinatown that are so good.
And even the North End, which is our Little Italy in Boston, for those who don't know, North End is like our Little Italy. In New York, Little Italy's, I feel like it's not really Little Italy anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of been consumed by something else, and that's okay, right? Things happen. But our North End here in Massachusetts and Boston specifically, it's very Italian, right?
Yep.
There's lots of places to eat that are Italian. I feel like the outside kind of vibes and the way the buildings are designed are very much Italian, right? And they still have the St. Anthony's feast. If you catch that, would recommend that as well.
But like we were saying, to kind of wrap it up a little bit, we highly recommend, especially if you've never been to Boston before, to definitely come to the city, check it out, really absorb everything, learn how to take the T. The MBTA workers inside the stations are really, really nice. You can literally get anywhere from the train here, literally anywhere. And I think we sort of have a channel update as well. So
very important update.
Yep. So when we first started this channel, I was sort of in school, and we sort of slowed down, and then we.
No, you weren't in school, right? When we first started channel,
No, I
right?
was in school.
Right, okay.
And then we slowed down, because I had to focus on school, and then we picked back up. But unfortunately, not really unfortunately, but I am in school still, and I'm taking 4 online classes.
Plus you're working, right?
Plus,
and
yeah,
and
plus
you're kind
I'm
of
working.
she's kind of the editor, right? She is the cornerstone of this channel. She is the rock of this channel. Her imagination, her creativity are all over this channel. Her fingerprints is this channel. She is the heart of this channel. Paula does so much for this channel. She's very busy, right? She's doing schoolwork, she's working, and on top of that, she's recording, and we're drafting scripts and our possible ideas for this channel. She is working hard. I need to step up more, right? Definitely the
It's
editing
okay.
mom.
But we just sort of wanted to update you guys. We gave a timeline of dropping videos every Friday, and that was that was realistic because I was only taking 1 or 2 classes over the summer.
And it was COVID, and I wasn't working, right? It's like
Exactly,
we had so
so it
much
was
time.
easier. But now he's back to work full time. I'm working and in school. So we will try our best to drop a video every week. But if it's not every week, it'll be like every week and a half, maybe.
But it'll definitely be more quality over quantity, right? We'll definitely go for more of a quality video. So that's our channel update. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our Boston vlog and commentary over our kind of montage kind of thing.
Yep. So make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell, and we will see you guys next video.
Bye.